one class that smells above all. So we only get one S rank. We get one.
One stank nasty. That's what
Brother, this guy stinks!
I'm telling you, though. The trading post is good, but in a few months, they're going to go, hey, you can spend a WoW token to get Tender now. And people will be happy to do it because you want to buy everything that comes out. And then that doesn't hurt anybody that doesn't engage with it that way. But
yeah, but like I'm fine with that because
exactly.
Like you know who's not fine with that? Kids in high school who don't have money.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll suck for them. Like, but Blizzard doesn't care about them that much because they're like, hey, you can only spend so
make
much.
money. Like, I remember, I was in your spot once.
I remember too, bro. Do you know what we used to? $15 a month. We didn't have a card to use.
That is a lot of money for a kid.
We had to, but we had to get $30 for the 2-month cards back in the day. There's a lot of you out there that will remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh man,
dude, the stuff.
We didn't have allowance.
No, but I did.
What we did have was a crappy summer job.
That did. We did. What's it called?
And when it wasn't summertime, or there weren't coils to cut, like we didn't have any money. So what did you do if you needed money in those periods of time? Because I know what I did.
I say I always went, dude. I went back to work with the mayor every time.
No, like, I'm talking like when there was no like work available to you,
dude.
Like,
even during the I would go on weekends with Dad.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there was times absolutely when like I would not spend my lunch money. I would save my lunch money.
Oh, you're talking about that.
$2 or $3 a day or whatever it was.
I did that a couple times and then I said, nah, fuck it. I'll just sack a weekend.
Dude, I was hungry. Like sometimes.
Nah, you see, I wasn't doing that. Like I did that a couple times. I was like, nah, fuck this. I was like, all I have to do is ask Dad to be like, hey, can I work this weekend? And he'd be like, sure.
Yeah. I remember it differently, but.
Of course you remember it differently.
Of course I do. We should just leave it at that because this is not going anywhere that doesn't end in verbal fisticuffs.
This is around the high school area and neither one of us is at home very much at all. Like.
That's true, I suppose.
We used
Welcome
to brag.
back to King of the World chat, where the topics are made up and sometimes remembered differently, depending on who you ask.
It's really more of a question whether you were there or not. Because we used to... Fair, but here's the deal. We used to be so good at covering for each other that we didn't even have to, like, be in the same room. Like, there were times I would cover a story for you, and when you came home, you just played off it by just listening to what Mom said.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, like, for you and me, like, unfortunately, like, the degenerates that we were, is like, the default was... Just it's like Coach McGurk. Lie to her.
Yeah.
Like,
we were so like, and this is not something really you brag about, but
in fact, no, it's not. And there would be the weird
we
thing
got
is,
so good at it that I would start a story at some part that why I was leaving, where I was going, that somehow would run into Leland, like. And then he would just pick it up, and then, like, it didn't matter. We'd even have to tell each other most of the time.
Do you know what the sad part was? Like, for us, it was probably the opposite of what it was for a lot of kids. Like, it'd be like if you were having a moment where your parents were asking you about something, maybe you as a normal person out there, and they ask you this, and your brother or sister or whomever you're trying to cover for is in the room, and you're looking at them like, wait, I'm supposed to say what? Because you didn't know you were supposed to cover them? For us, it was the opposite. If you were doing something that you weren't trying to hide, and you wanted them to just tell the truth, like, you might look at them and be like, what are you doing? Like, you're creating a scenario that you don't need to create. It's like, just tell them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
just have a story. Doesn't matter. You like, just make them connect and it'll all work out.
Dude, it's like I watched that episode of Seinfeld the other day where George is talking about it's the marine biologist, and Jerry runs into this like a woman that they both knew, George and him from in college, and he like she was the it girl is what George called it, which I believe still means she's like, you know, the popular one that everyone is attracted to. Yeah. And George is like, why would you tell her I was a marine? He's like, there is one problem. I told her you were a marine biologist. All George Costanza does in every episode ever is lie about his life. But he's like, what are you doing? Why would you tell her a marine biologist? He's like, you should have told her an architect or something. He's like, I can't, you're messing up my thing here. It's like, I don't know how to pretend to be a marine biologist. It's like,
yeah, like,
it's like, I have a system for lying here and you're messing it up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is sometimes you'd be like, why aren't you telling them the truth? Because we're so used to covering for each other. Like you said.
Oh yeah. Well, we could have started the story out with Mr. Vanderbilt is importing, and by the end of it, he exports and imports.
Vandelange. Most people, like in the cartoon or the show, it's like in the IT crowd where he's like, why are you giving, wait, I have the Moss glasses. Why are you giving me the secret signal to shut up? Like, it's like, for us, it's like, why are you giving me the secret signal to tell the truth? Like,
right. Like,
we didn't lie to our parents all the time.
Did we? Okay? Yeah, no. We even covered for things you didn't need to cover for.
That's my point. That's what I was trying to say the whole time. Is it's like,
you had like,
don't do that, kids. Your parents want you to be safe. If you're kids, you probably shouldn't be listening to us in the first place.
I'm saying, yeah, this really like.
And if you are, don't tell your parents. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? That stinks. Sometimes something stinks. What is one of the worst things you've ever smelled?
One of the worst things I have ever smelled was I had a friend who kept an iguana.
No. Who had an iguana?
What
you don't have to say their name, I guess. Like,
I mean, say it was like, dude, I was like, I can't really just.
But tell me without telling everyone else.
'Cause I don't know how to describe it other than it was like at the private school.
That's the point of the exercise. Okay, so a long time ago.
Yeah, it would have been
high school days.
It would have been me going into my 8th grade year, so going to the public school after that one.
Okay.
Would have been the.
Do they have brothers or sisters?
They did, and the younger brother was in Austin's class.
Okay, younger brother in Austin's class.
Did not have any older siblings, as far as I know.
It's gonna be difficult. Oh, wait. Was it
You can't say their name.
No, I know. I'm trying to play along. Was it I think I know who it is, but I don't.
Well, that'll have to be an off-camera thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't like.
Yeah,
I think
but
no, an iguana, just in general.
Dude, reptiles stink. Dude, they smell.
Well, that's going to be relevant later on. But
I mean, I was like, if you want to talk about it, like, let's just start out. Can we just start out with Drakthir since we're already here? Like, reptiles stink.
Reptile wins.
What the?
It's Mother.
Of course it's Mother.
Tell Mom she's on the show. Tell Mom she's on the show.
No, I'm not telling. I am not putting that woman on the show.
I've answered the phone when Mom was on stream before.
No, she's probably. I know exactly what it is, but she's just gonna have to wait.
I think when I think of things that the worst smells I can think of in my life, two things come to mind, and I'm sure there's something worse than that. My immediate reaction was the garbage at Jason's Deli, taking the garbage out. And I remember one time.
You mean that dumpster cheeseburger smell?
Dude, dumpster food in general is like.
It always has that like rotten cheeseburger.
Stank, dude. It is some fucking stank. Like,
oh, yeah.
Me and Alex had to take it out one time, though, together. Like, well, actually, we weren't supposed to be doing that because we would jack around out there, and they knew that. We were like 17, 16 at the time. Like, so we were always jacking around. But we went out there one time, dude. The bag fucking exploded over Alex's head because he was trying to. Dude, it made me like. There's been few times in my life when I've smelt, when I had some kind of stimuli that actually made me want to retch, but that was when I came close to retching. The other one I would say was also a pet. You've been near this guy's apartment before a long time ago. There was a guy who had a ferret. That also stank.
I've had a friend who had freaking 2 of those things, dude.
Ferret stank.
And you know, I'm like, dude, cool pet, but dude,
cool pet, stanky pet. Iguana
Stanky.
also cool pet, stanky pet.
I'm gonna be honest, the iguana wasn't really that cool, dude.
Cool blooded though.
Gonna say cool blooded, but dude, you didn't like
Cold blooded.
You don't pick that thing up like it. I think it's kind of
stanky sometimes.
Yeah, but dogs, like I feel like that, like we're actually smell blind to a lot of their smells because
You get used to it, but dude, he ripped one last night that was like,
oh yeah, dog farts are the worst.
oh
Cat
my
farts
God.
are also terrible.
Dude, cats are-
Just,
Cats are
Of course, no
definitely
fart is good,
smellier than
but-
dogs. No, dude, cat shit, like it makes your eyes burn. Like
yeah, dude, cats are disgusting creatures.
cats are disgusting creatures. And for that, we say thank you. You know what else
God.
stinks?
Loot chance in Shadowlands.
Yes. Apparently, people are unhappy with the loot chances
Dude.
for
Dude,
the raid in general.
I like, and this is one of those things where I'm sitting there is like, this is why Reddit is something you only lurk on and you don't post. Because I saw a post on the WoW subreddit that I just sat there and I was like, this has to be a Wrath baby or a Catechid. But
I think a lot of them are younger in general. Like,
I was like, dude, because they literally, like, their post was, I think Castle Nathria was Pinnacle WoW rating.
Pinnacle, wow.
Pinnacle
a lot
WoW
of people
rating.
I think
like,
everyone would agree that Castle Nathria was probably the top of Shadowlands rating as far as like.
And it was like probably like I didn't do any rating in BFA because I came in at the back of the tail end of that, which I still, dude, I still have these like corrupted shard things that I still have no fucking clue what to do with.
There's a million currencies like that you're like, okay, like who knows what all the fuck all that shit is.
Yeah, no, like I'm sitting here, I'm like corrupted.
It's
like,
a tchotchke at that point, like,
yeah,
or a MacGuffin, I think is
yeah,
the
it's just
literary term for it.
confusing as shit. But what was I saying again?
We were talking about loot chances and our friends in the raid.
Oh yeah, and then they like just the fact, really, Shadowlands Pinnacle WoW rating.
Oh,
You must not really did a bunch of rating, like just.
dude, that might have been a bait post too, though, because sometimes like
You never know with the WoW subreddit. Like I said, the WoW subreddit is not for intelligent individuals, but
you could say the subreddit in general, and you could put anything in front of that, and that would be like a fairly fair statement.
oh yeah.
Although I'm on Reddit like most days as well, so like,
Well, you're there for funny shit or porn. It's one of the two.
that's everybody. It's like I
yeah.
don't go to Reddit for porn. Like,
Go for the Reddit for porn ideas. You know,
interesting.
it's like, okay,
The internet is for porn.
yeah.
This is where the internet is for porn. You're supposed to say for porn.
Grab your dicks and double click.
For porn. It's a classic. If you've never heard that, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah. Well, then again, you just might not be an old man like you and me.
That too. I never realized that was like I think that's from a Broadway type production before it was a WoW Machinima, because the WoW Machinima was based on.
I know, like, there's no way that guy made that song.
It's
Like,
something with puppets. No, it's an actual production. Like,
yeah, I knew it was an like.
that
There's
he
no,
just took
like,
the audio from.
Yeah, no, that's clearly that's what it was. Oh,
It
God,
wasn't
dude.
clear to me, honestly. I literally just saw the real one for the first time. I think earlier. Well,
Really?
it
You
was last
didn't?
year.
Huh. So that was something I immediately caught on. Like, all that machinima was that way.
Not all of it. Leroy Jenkins was not done originally outside of WoW.
No. I'm talking about like any music. Like Club Thrall
say.
was something that was
Well,
made.
you just said Machinima. I was like,
Well, I mean, that's the name of those like video types. You know, the movies like Illegal Danish and.
Machinima was anything that was made in a video game, like
Yeah.
Red versus Blue.
Oh yeah.
One of the pioneers.
Which I don't think they're sitting in too pretty a water right now.
Oh, dude, the Red versus Blue saga is a whole. Not Red versus Blue. The Rooster Teeth saga is a whole It is a roller coaster. Yes, they're not in a good place.
I haven't kept up with them in so long. Like, I have no idea. I just heard the other day from like our little sister that something was going on. I was like, wow. I was like, is everybody just fucking it up right now? Like,
speaking of which, happy late birthday to you, little sister.
oh
2 days
shit.
ago. I called her the day of, but I'm just telling her in case she listens to the episode. Shout out to you.
Dude, I completely forgot her birthday.
Well, there you go.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't, like, if I know any of y'all's birthdays is a miracle.
Well, it is what it is. Oh. Well, we didn't say, yeah, anyways.
Sorry.
What else is going on?
What is going on is as dumb as these fucking shovels don't stack.
Yeah, they should
Like,
stack higher.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't. Like, it's like sometimes Blizzard's just like, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of more bag space. All right, now let's make nothing stackable. Like, nothing.
Yeah, I think you could like complain about that in games in general. And I think that a lot of times, like, it's like, well, why is inventory space a thing at all? Like, it's literally a digital world where I should be able to have a... You remember Link on the Legend of Zelda 1980s TV show?
Yeah, he just pulled the thing out of his magic pocket.
And he had the magic pocket. Yes. Like, literally, it's like... In WoW, I can see why they would do that, because it's like a thing that is supposed to be... It's not like a resource management, but I guess it's like at a most basic level, you could call that a form of resource management. And that you have to... But nowadays, everybody has a mount that lets them... fucking vendor right where they're at. So at that point, it's like, isn't this a relic of something that should just be gone? Like, and should be quality of life at this point?
No, because if they just allow that to happen, they'll take the prestige away from my yak.
Oh, we couldn't have that. You're right. Absolutely. Did you know what? Since we talked about that, there are so many times all the time where I'm like
I'm sorry. It's just that sentence. They'll take away the prestige of my yak. I just pictured myself vomiting on a table and be like, prestigious.
The prestige.
Worldwide. Wide.
We had a guild named Prestige Worldwide one time.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't, because it was not in a private server, because we wouldn't play private servers.
No, we didn't. We didn't do none of that. We would
be,
never do such a thing. That would be a terrible thing to do.
That would be degeneracy.
Mm-hmm.
Which we never do.
Right.
Any form of.
No way. And that's a fact.
So, this week, we're getting into something that is... Now here's, what is it?
Wait.
That's something everyone can enjoy.
Wait a minute. Do you smell that? It's a certain kind of smell. A smell that smells smelly.
A smelly smell. The kind of smell that smells
Smelly. I don't know why you need to repeat my joke, bro. What is this, an echo chamber?
I wanted to have fun too.
No. You ruined the prestige of my joke, okay? You had my joke too now. Now it's a nothing.
It looked like fun.
Come on.
I wanted to engage with the joke.
It wasn't fun meant for you. All right? It wasn't meant for you. That's what this comes down to. That was for me. Only me. Because if you have that, I am less. I am not special. I am a piece of fucking shit if I don't have that.
Real. Oh, yeah. The F part.
My prestige.
But my prestige, though. Prestige, mate.
The prestige.
Spit in my face.
Spit in his face.
Everybody's entitled, though. They're just giving it away.
It is mine.
I don't know why we're making fun of Preach's voice when Preach doesn't say
we
anything
don't.
like that.
No.
Well, that was our Preach impression, though, when he's doing the PvP, mate. The PvP, though.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? My PvP.
Yeah.
Mate. Do you even?
And if by any chance he sees this, and a bro fist to you, Preach.
And a bro fist to you. Hell yeah. I want to say it. Hola bolas! And a bro fist to you all.
Preach, give him a rating. How did he do?
Preach is OG, man.
Oh yeah, dude, he is.
You know what?
Dude, I still like drama. I know there's more drama time. I got to get caught up, which is always exciting.
I'm a few behind now myself because I was caught up for a little while.
I love to let those build up and then just fucking binge them. Like,
you know what I missed?
Although one thing I will point out in the episode Anime Girl, you know the one where the dude basically hooks up with the chick but she had, dude, it's very specific, but it's something I noticed that they didn't pick up on.
All right.
In that episode, basically, he does get to hang out with the chick, but she's got a really weird kink of she wants him to role play her brother. But in the very beginning of the story, the guy that introduced them was role playing her brother.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was like, no one made mention to it at all. I was like, wait a second. What? That dude was nailing that chick at the beginning of the story.
Did they roll for initiative first, though?
See, here's the problem. The guy, the author of the thing was probably not present for when that initiative roll first happened for the other player. That guy entered combat way before that guy did.
Well, all of the...
And I think he got, like, fed up with the kink and just shoved her off onto him.
I tell you what, if there's anything that I know, it's that every Drama Time story that's ever written was absolutely 100% true. Never made up.
Dude, true or not true? It's a vital point of the story that was missed.
Fresh, never frozen. Like Wendy's. This stream not brought to you by...
Because I don't trust them. And I would not, like, if Wendy's showed up and was like, hey, here's a sponsorship, I'd be like, I can't endorse your product. I literally avoid your restaurant.
So you don't like I
Wendy's? Don't trust square patties, dude. I do not like Wendy's. I do
you like Wendy's nuts are on your forehead?
No, I do not like Wendy's nuts are on your forehead. Like,
I'm sorry.
There's nothing good about Wendy's. Like, even the Frosty is just meh.
Okay. Now
I live in Texas. I go to DQ.
Now that we've gotten it out of the way, Wendy's is good. I would, you know what? It's about to become something that it's not supposed to be, but you and me need to do the fast food tier list.
The fast food tier list? I feel like this is going to turn into me versus you type thing. Because, I'm adamant that Wendy's is fucking F tier.
Well, it's a great segue because that's not the one we're going to do today. We should probably do that next week. But the one we are going to do today could turn into a you versus me thing. And for that, we say thank you. So
I would say, I don't think this one turned into me versus you.
Everybody get your helmet on and take cover because it could get... This will get messy.
We're about to have to... It's going to get nasty.
You're going to go with that one?
Oh, yes, dude. We're going into the shit. You got to be a plumber if you're going into the shit.
Okay. That's a good point. I was going to say I had something else for this, but I can do that.
Well, I appreciate you being able to adapt and overcome. Well, and for that, we say thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. Where the fuck is it? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hats over here. None of them are the one I'm looking for. Isn't that how it always goes? There it is. All right. Let's get down to business. Today, we're going to tell you about something that I'll bet you've never thought about. Mm-hmm. The other day, I was in Iskara, or whatever it's called, the place with all the Tuskar in Azure
Span.
Azure Span. I was about to call it the Azure Vault. It's definitely not that. There's
a place in there, though.
These are walrus people, basically. And you can imagine...
Walry, I believe, is the correct term.
Walry.
The Walry.
And I was standing on a dock, and they have, on the ends of their docks, like, they have lights. And the light is basically suspended like a pole with a little sling hanging off of it. And in the sling is some kind of bioluminescent fish. Like, so it's got a lit up stomach, and that's what they use for lights. And I was like, that probably smells really bad. And then I thought about it, and I was like, this whole place probably smells really bad. And I was like, you know what? I'll bet you there's a lot. I bet you the World of Warcraft is a pretty smelly place. And then I thought about it, and I was like,
oh, definitely all the murder hobos do.
I was like, you know what? We need to figure out which class smells the worst. That is something. Yeah, there's a lot of tier lists on the internet. People like the tier list. The tier list is fun, but I'll bet you've never seen or heard of the, or even thought
of the smell tier list.
Now, people have definitely talked about the smell of classes before because druids, but
right.
You've never thought, like, which class is the smelliest and really thought about it. We could just go left to right. What class do you want to start with?
I feel like we kind of already opened the door to Drakthir. Because iguanas stink. And I'm being honest, most of them would smell normal, but to probably everybody else, they probably smell like wretched. Lizard.
I guess it's good that you mentioned that as well, because there are many different races that can be some of the classes. I think that has to factor in probably. Drakthir, of course, there's only
one Evoker. So in that case, what I'm saying is they would smell horrible.
Out of all of the classes that are close to iguanas, they're definitely the closest. There's a couple others that might somewhat
be. You
like
ever smell the inside of that place in where we grew up, the Discovery Center or whatever? You remember the reptile room? You remember how bad that room stunk?
Here's the other thing, though. Their visage form for all the evokers is blood elves. And blood elves are some of the most yuppie, like, race in the game.
Okay, but Visage is a magic form. Like, we're talking about people.
But that's my point, is they're magical. Like, dragons are all, like, by definition, like, magical. So I feel like even though they should be, like, if it was just straight lizard, I would say they smell. Be honest,
I don't feel like the Visage form sweat would smell any better. I don't think it would smell like an elf's. I think it would probably smell like the same Drakthir smell. Like,
I think all adventurers are going to not smell.
The murder hobos will stink. They will smell. Like, name one time your tune took a bath.
What? I think, first of all, our goal should be to have one class that is smellier than the rest.
One class that smells above all. So we only get one S rank. We get one.
One stank nasty. That's what I put for the McNast. That's the S rank, is the stank nasty. Then I had put for one, I put smells bad to most, smells bad to some, smells good to some, question mark, and then the bottom is
lemony fresh.
I'm the first one.
Fresh.
Lemony fresh. Yes, exactly. Okay. I feel like
he mopped up spit.
If they were just lizard people, then Drakthir would definitely be near the top. But they're magical. They're blood elves. They picked blood elves as their visage form, remember? That's supposed to be like representative of what they are. I think that's also probably why Drakthir are not like
time out.
The Draconid, like
wait.
And no, I just realized that as well.
But
like,
we're only
do you remember when we were all
limiting
like
that Drakthir to the player Drakthir? There's plenty of Drakthir in the game that are non-playable character that turn into other visages such as Draenei and dwarves.
When have we seen Drakthir turn into something else?
Okay, so for example, when you're doing the Sibelian rep quest, when you get that dragon that follows you around, the follower, her visage form is a Draenei. Right, she's a dragon, but when she uses visage, she turns into a Draenei. That's what I'm pointing.
You're telling me there's a Drakthir.
Oh, that's a drag. I see what you're saying.
It turns into a Draenei. I was fixing to say, like, I think all the and that's my point too, is I just realized, I just made a connection though about something that we've all been complaining about since before the expansion came out. They did not give us the big meaty claws that we wanted in the Draconid form because they made them all blood elves. So if you're a Drakthir and your like visage form, as you saw it, was a blood elf, like they probably all picture themselves as like yuppies. Yes. Like, even though they're supposed to be one. I feel like these have to be towards the good smelling. Like, and maybe the lizard one does smell like worse, but like they're also magical.
Probably stink too, but they're not a class. But
I feel like that smells bad to some.
Bro, snakes stink. Reptiles stink. They stink. There is not a good smelling reptile.
They have preservation magic. They
have you smelled nature?
But they seem like the type that would make themselves smell better because they don't want to be perceived as smelling bad.
The argument I feel like I've been presented here is they are the kind that would choose to take a bath. I get that.
Okay. I'm telling you, I feel like smell bad to some is the compromise there. If you're saying you want to put them in smell bad to most.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest, I don't think the Visage form is going to switch that sweat smell. Like, I just don't.
I think you're missing my point entirely. I want to hold the line.
I'm holding it to the stank. The absolute stank.
They are absolutely not the smelliest class. Well, the stank nasty is the one smell to rule them all.
But they are definitely, I say, stinky to most. Reptiles, man, are stinky. They're stinky.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Like, if they were blood elves, they would smell good, probably, right? Or they would want to smell good. I feel like you could argue for smell good to some for them as well. So I think smell bad to some is the proper place to put them. If we can't decide, this does not give me the option to put it in between. Then I think what I would have to say is their Drakthir form smells bad to most. Their Visage form smell bad to some.
So magic is automatic deodorant.
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying they seem to me like the type that would, because they chose blood elves as their Visage form, that they would try to make themselves smell better magically.
I'm gonna be honest, the only reason they chose blood elves is because that's the only choice Blizzard gave us. We're not entirely sure that is the only Visage form possible.
But that means canonically in the game, because Rathian takes every single Drakthir and gives them that bullshit speech about how this is what represents you. And they all chose canonically blood elves, which is the top tier. If we were doing the smell for like the races in World of Warcraft, the blood elves would be the yuppiest of the yuppie.
I don't know. Kaldor are pretty up there too. Hang on one second.
I would disagree with that because they were high elves and then they became the ones that lived in nature.
1 second. But there's a thing to that.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to agree. I feel like of the five, I feel like smell bad to some is where I would put them, but splitting it up that way would work the best. The actual lizard form, the Drakthir form, smell bad to most for Drakthir, smell bad to some for the Visage form.
Something about Visage form?
Something about a map. I would put them in both, but I can't do that.
Dude, I'm going to be honest. So here's the problem. Like the Visage form is dropped when like pretty much anything happens. So like.
Only in combat. Out of combat.
Okay.
And they could not go into that form if they don't want to.
Which I'm going to be honest, like, I think like the vast majority would choose not to because when I don't know, like it just seems like, oh, I do this to fit in with society as a where we know most people are like, yeah, screw that. Because really, screw that.
I think we're not going to be able to agree if we have to put it in one. I can't put it in two.
Fine, put it in three. I can live with that. I'm not as stout at defending that point because it's Drakthir and I just wouldn't die on a hill for it.
Let's go rogue next. I feel like rogues would probably be the most neutral smelling class in the game.
At the same time, you know he's covering himself in deer piss. Like the hunter. No, they're both doing it, bro. They're both Bro,
That's
they're both covered in
like,
scent.
here's
They
the
are
thing.
covering themselves in piss.
No. Like they're gonna cover themselves in no scent. Like so, whatever that needs to be
I
for
bet
that
you it's
time,
some kind of piss.
like. I feel like rogues would be the most neutral smelling out of everything. Listen, like
Yeah, no, because you can't be smelled
like
coming. It's part of stealth.
In day to day, like walking around, when you think of like Han Solo is a rogue, like
I
if you
thought
were
he was
going to
a
say like
scoundrel.
what's a suave, but there is no scoundrel in
I'm
World of
aware,
Warcraft.
just
So
kidding.
the suave like class would have to be like one of the best smelling. I feel like rogues sometimes would make themselves smell good because that's part of being this like slick like.
Okay, but not every rogue is Don Juan.
No, but like if charisma was a thing, like rogues would have higher charisma.
I don't know. Like
Mages
not
would have
all
higher
rogues
charisma.
are silver tongued.
Like,
Some rogues are just straight
it's
up.
actually a really no, they're not. Not all of them, but out of all of the classes, they're going to be one of the classes that does silver tongue. Mage would be good at it. Like
I think so. I'm gonna be
That's actually a
honest.
really
I
interesting
really feel
question
like
in
that more
general.
comes down to which race of rogue you're dealing with. Like I think you would see that more commonly on maybe like elves, but you would not see such things out of like orcs.
I think it
or,
depends on what the rogue
you know,
is trying to do. Like it would be like a specialization type of thing.
I don't think.
I
I
think
think
that's an
that's more of a
interesting
race
question in
thing than a
general.
class thing.
I don't think it's a race thing. I think part of being a rogue is like
Not that
Like,
say
yeah,
not all rogues are
maybe-
silver tongued. Like
no, they're not. But my point is, it's like you're not going to like some. You could have a Taran rogue that is not that at all, and you could also have one that was because now Taran rogue.
yeah, like
is a thing.
okay, we gotta understand. Like, can we like some joke classes are just like it's. Yeah, I
part
know.
of the game now,
I
dude.
didn't say it
Like-
was part of the game. It's still a joke class. Like when you do that, like you are saying I'm a joke. Like because you do it because it's funny. Like
I think it's a sidebar, very interesting questions to ask that we should probably talk about in when we redo the class fantasy. But like, if charisma was a stat in WoW, that's an interesting question to ask. Like, what classes would have higher charisma?
well,
I don't
that's
mean to change
actually
it to that
pretty.
now,
That's
but
pretty easy. They already kind of determined that with the intelligence thing. Like because charisma does come with a large degree of intelligence. Like
yeah, but it's always a different stat in
Okay,
like
yeah,
D&D.
yeah,
And that's what I'm
because-
saying is like if charisma was a
because
if it was a
right, but
stat
that's
in the
because
game,
it's really a mixture of your intelligence and wisdom modifier. Like it's these two stats together that kind of.
I know. I'm like I said, I'm asking a question that we're not dealing with right now because that question is if it was its own stat. In
Yeah,
the game,
I still think
like-
that like I think it would follow.
But you're not talking about modern WoW at that point, anyways, because WoW only gives one stat.
Yeah. Okay.
to
So well,
each.
well, no, I think it's
like-
still there. Like you just don't see it. Like, it's still there, you just don't see it.
you right. Well, and that's my point. Is like you don't have no strength if you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah, no,
a
and, like,
warrior.
It's
like
just it doesn't do as much benefit
but-
to you because it doesn't have as
Anyway.
many like
rogues.
mechanics turned on for it. So rogues, yeah, I can go with
Yeah.
neutral because once again they can't smell you coming. Like it's part of what they do. Like
So it's hard to even put them in lemony fresh. Smells
yeah,
good
no,
to smell
because
or
you
smells
can't
bad.
you can't
I feel
be
like
smelled coming. Like
I feel like Rogue has to stealth its way out of this
Yeah,
tier
yeah.
list. Like it's there somewhere, but you can't
well,
see
it's
it
hard to
'cause it's a
pinpoint
rogue.
because they specialize in many. But honestly, I would say
They smell the way
exactly.
they want to smell.
So they go
basically.
mid tier. They go
Like,
neutral.
and that's what I'm saying is like I feel like you will not see Rogue when we show you a picture of the tier list because they're in stealth mode. They're where they don't want you to see them.
like that one transparent.
And then put in the
Yeah, when it gets put in.
"Ooh,"
Yeah, yeah.
like the stealth noise. But you don't have to do that as well either because that always ends up taking way longer than it should for editing purposes.
Yeah, you never know what I decide
I
to do.
picked the last class. Which one do you want to pick now?
Okay, so let's see. Let's go with. Actually, I wanted Death Knight to bring a good one to bring up because I think it actually will go in multiple places because it's good.
Death Knight, I feel like is a contender for one of the smell is a contender for Stank Nasty though.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
go on.
Unholy definitely has the contender for S rank It is definitely up there. However, in the inverse, blood is supposed to be more of a mirror of a vampire.
Vampires.
Which, remember, is supposed to smell alluring to the living. So in that case, they would go in lemony fresh. So, I mean, like with this one, it kind of depends on what the Death Knight. And Frost, the cold is not really a smell.
Listen, frozen things don't usually
it just
smell
doesn't
exactly.
have a smell.
Yeah.
So they can go in neutral as well. Like,
that's a good point.
So like it's either A, like you can definitely put it in smells bad to most because it does. Maybe not to undead because they're sick fucks and disgusting. But
well, and that's why it's important to mention, and everything
right,
can
and
be
everything,
Death Knights.
anything
like,
can
literally.
be Death Knight. But it doesn't really matter at that point because you're all corpses equally. So I think like honestly, I would just take the stat like thumbnail and put one in each of where it belongs because they're a special class. They can really go in 3 different spots. Either A, they don't smell at all. B, they smell wretched. Or C, they smell like one of the best things you ever smelled.
I guess we do need, I was going to say we almost need like a neutral tier.
Well, that's
but so you're saying like we could look at what Unholy's being played the most right now.
Yeah, so a lot of them smell like shit, like absolute shit.
But you have to admit also that just because they
and if
have,
it was Warhammer,
like,
it would be shit.
I feel like they probably smell
By the
bad
way,
to
Flip the
some.
Thing talks
is
about
where we
shit.
put them. Yep, we did make it one episode without talking about it though. I was going to tell you that in the middle of the week, and I just forgot about it. We talked about farting last week, but we did not talk about shit. Like, we made it one episode. Like,
it's an improvement. It's definitely a step in the right direction.
And then we didn't. There's no way we were going to make it through a smell tier list without
because some things are just going to smell like absolute shit. And like...
Speaking of which, like, how often do you actually see bathrooms in? Like, obviously, in Warlords of Draenor,
even in old World of Warcraft,
like
humans, I usually have like a washroom or something, or an outhouse. Like, and even Caldor, I have a few. Like, they have wash basins. So clearly, though, I think they're just defecating by trees.
The Druids. Oh yeah,
no, dude. No, by the way, okay, so.
Hunters would shit like cats. They would hide it. Like
they're just out there burying it.
Which also tells you that they don't feel like the most dominant.
So the question is, where does all the holy shit go?
Oh, we'll get to that. Death Knights, where are we putting them, though? We're going to put smell bad to some? Mid?
So I think put them in the second to smelliest and contender for S rank because, because the vast majority of being played right now, I think, is unholy. So...
Because if you were going to argue for the vampire thing, then it would only be
if the vast majority of tanks were blood DKs, then I'd say no, it's blood DKs. But I think the vast majority of tanks right now are like warriors and paladins.
And even then, like, I think it's like blood DKs don't smell good most of the time. Like, it would be like if they were like doing their sand lane bullshit.
Yeah, for sure.
Smells bad to most. Okay. You said DK. I'm gonna go. Let's go warrior.
So warrior, like they're gonna stink. Like they are gonna smell. But at the same time, you also have like the Valkyr thing, where when they're coming in the meat hall, bitches are gonna be attracted to the smell of blood and guts and sweat. Like that's what's gonna get her growing. Like so. At the same time, it's not bad to everybody. So like in the warrior sense.
No, you know what? I was going to ask you what warrior smells good, but I'm so glad that you brought up the Valkyr because I was like, yeah, the Halls of Valor, like that's the kind of warrior that Odin is. Odin would be like, "Oh, you need to bathe," and it's like,
if it was like our world Odin, like real Odin, like he would have been like, "Oh yeah, you smell like you've been out there."
But
Fuck
Odin
yeah, dude!
Wow, I guess. Oh, that's disgusting. Like, yeah, dude, like. I think Warrior straight smells bad to most.
They made such a cool character. Man,
you made that easy. I was going to ask you, like, what Warrior smells good? And then you went, like, right there.
Because, like, dude, like, that's just, like, that's one of the, like, the thing, like, I'm going to be honest, like, that's just, like, part of it being a warrior. Like, That's one of the things. Like, I mean, if you listen to any Viking story, it's all about going back to the meat hall and, you know, talking about your exploits. And like, part of the reason you're bragging is like, it's basically an old feudalistic peacocking. They're basically flashing. And if, you know, well, they're probably getting a lot of reception, like, you know. So, yeah, no, that there's many cases where that actually plays to your advantage.
It's not the halls of odor. It's the halls of valor.
Exactly.
Smells bad to most. Warrior. Okay. You wanted to go holy classes, so which one do you want to talk about?
Let's start with priest. So this is going to be a little difficult because there's multiple kinds of priest. And each priest...
This is the only one that we talked about this week when we first had this idea. Because you had said initially that you thought this would probably be one of the best smelling classes. And I said, if it was a true priest, and there definitely, like you said, would be like multiple kinds of priests. You'd have the priests that are in Stormwind City. You'd have the priests that are pious and that are full of shit and don't do
okay, so yeah,
like
there's definitely going to be some human priests that, you know, smell good, sure.
But you'd have the real priests also
so
that
yeah,
were
guys like out in the abbeys.
Getting their hands dirty and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
The guys out in the abbeys, you know, not sitting in cathedrals.
But if you were going to try and talk about what class smells the best, I think priest would have to be one of the contenders. But I feel like priest is like a solid smells good to some. Because most of them probably would smell good. They have.
It also comes down to which priests are most numerous. Now, it's definitely not going to be Caldori after Teldrassil, so it can't be the smells good to most.
But that's my point exactly, in case I don't make that clear, is like a priest that was helping at Teldrassil would be covered in ash, would be covered in fucking soot.
But the point I'm making is where's the most priests right now?
And they would not be worried about making themselves smell good. There's a lot of undead
priests right now, too, which no undead smells good. Like, unless you're a blood DK, you smell like absolute dog ass. Like, you smell like shit. Like, maybe if you're by living creatures, they are not enjoying the smell of you. Like,
maybe an undead mage or an undead.
Dude, an undead mage might make it smell neutral, but like, I think that's the best they could do. Like, I don't think there is no magical roll on that gets rid of the smell of like absolute death.
It wouldn't be magic if it couldn't do that.
No, because there's always like weird limitations to magic, and I feel like that's one of those dumb limitations they have.
When I try to think of
unless
what
you're like Sylvanas
would not smell bad
in that situation,
by definition, undead rogues would have to be able to hide their scent. And if you were going to say what else could do it, maybe it'd be the ones that have a spell. And I think
even Sylvanas still smelled rotten.
Sylvanas did not, but that's because her body is not really, it's undead, but it breaks the undead rules.
It's like frozen in time. It's like in a stasis. I don't care. They're still necrophiles.
And that's probably Steve Denise.
Yeah. Like he's like, okay, I beat it off to this too many times. Like if I don't make it, like I'm weird.
So I think what was that? What we're gonna go
and
for?
That's the origin of
Sylvanas.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Superman.
A priest smells good to some. Well, then let's just go next. Paladin. I think actually Paladin would be if it was up to me.
I think even the Tar and Paladin take like at least 2 baths a day.
Paladin would be.
I must wash off the filth and the disgust.
They're too self-righteous, not exact. They have an ability called cleanse.
Literally, like one of their abilities probably not only does it purge like diseases and shit, it probably cleans you too. Like I bet you $20 they made that's just to, like deodorant. Like, and dude, let's be honest. Let's look at the first 2 paladins. Like the first, like there was basically dwarf, which would probably be the smelliest of the old days. Human, which you definitely know was not. And then when the Horde got him, it was Blood Elves, which was definitely not a stinky person.
I believe the first Paladins actually were either human or Vrykul because they learned it from Tyr, basically.
Like, so, well, I don't know. Like, I think Uther breaks that rule with the silver hand thing, but I don't know.
Well, that's where it was created from, is what I'm saying. Though.
Well, that
So
might be where
like,
the source was created, but like when each race discovers and how to tap it is like kind of when their paladin gets introduced. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but no, humans did it. Humans literally did it
well,
first.
then there you go.
Like,
I
believe.
Then,
But they might have
I
been
would say, as far
Vikings
as
still
I
at
know,
that point.
I
I
always
don't
thought
remember.
like the blood elves didn't have like true connection to the light. They were using like blood magic to manipulate it. Like that's what I thought they were.
Originally, I believe
Yeah.
so. Like they kind of like forced the light to like do what they wanted
like,
to.
I don't know.
Which unfortunately is pretty metal.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me to say blood elves are ever
because
metal.
it's
but
really
like,
let's be honest, the females are more masculine than the men. Like it's dude, those guys like I just cannot play, dude. As soon as they twirl, I'm just like,
that's a fair statement.
But dude,
fair
my
statement.
Drakthir
Like-
never goes into Visage form. Like, and I know there's like a buff for it for the dude, but like, dude,
Out of combat, health regeneration, yeah. Lemony Fresh Paladins.
Lemony Fresh Paladins, yep.
What next? We've got Hunter, we got Mage, we got Monk, we got Shaman, we got Warlock.
Let's do Monk.
And we got
Monk's
Druid.
gonna be an interesting one. So Windwalker's gonna
like-
stink because that's your Goku. That's the guy out there in the fields punching trees and shit.
Most of our Mogs leave
Now,
our feet exposed, or at least our
might smell
toes.
all right.
Like,
You know, Mistweaver is probably. Then again, he might just smell like a swamp. Like.
they also drink a
Yeah,
lot.
and they're all
like
drunks.
most monks.
So. Yeah,
Like, there'll be
so
a lot
like
of
out
vomit, a lot of defecation,
urination
Like,
everywhere. So like.
now, they probably are pretty disciplined and would take the time to clean. Like,
That
but
stank is somewhere though.
and like I said again, our feet are exposed like most of the time. Like, and we do have purifying brew as well, like which is more of a like a soul kind of thing. Like it's a chi thing, you know, that we're purifying. But
And
like,
just because you purify,
I feel
don't mean
like-
you don't stink though.
do monks smell bad to some, or do they smell bad to most?
I'm gonna be honest. I think bunks probably smell bad to most.
And I was gonna say they're adding goblins, Draenei,
Yeah,
and
dude, I'm just gonna be honest, like-
Worgen next. So it's like, yeah, I think monks smell bad to most.
If they're clean, it's not for long.
Let's go
Okay,
Hunter next.
Now, Hunter is honestly, I think, going to be more to the neutral area. Because either A, they're going to smell like what they're hunting, or B, they're going to like try not to smell at all.
Yeah. I feel like they're like rogue, but a little bit smellier because of, like you said, like mostly they're hiding from animals or they're tracking animals. They track everything, right? But like, they're not going to smell good most of the time. Like,
There's, last I checked, there wasn't a lot of baths and outhouses in the middle of the woods. You didn't hear a lot of that, did you? Okay.
no, I heard all that.
I don't think it really registered too much on my. I got to be careful getting that far away.
No. I don't think it changed as much as you think it did.
Well, it
I
barely
think it
got
was
to the
fine.
yellow, if it at all. And I think yellow's where it starts recording.
No, it should be. I'll bet you it wasn't a problem.
Well, anyways,
I didn't have any trouble
Okay.
hearing you at all. Hunter smells bad,
Hunter
To some.
definitely smells bad to some.
and to some they
Yeah.
don't smell anything.
So,
like
but to
basically,
the ones that matter, you know,
they never smell
Exactly.
good. Usually, probably.
and that's like once again, not a lot of baths and outhouses out there. So, gonna.
Yeah, most adventurers
Yeah.
gonna smell bad.
So I'm gonna think they're gonna go towards the center where Rogue is.
Let's see. I feel like we need to do Druids last.
Yeah, because
Well, we could address Druid now because we've
I will
already.
go on the whole thing. So let's just go over to something else. Just
Well, if we're doing that, then we're basically telling everyone already that we think they're going to be the smelliest. There's one-
They might be the smelliest.
Of what's left, there's 3 that I would be like, which one of these smells the worst?
Definitely not Mage.
Let's go Mage next.
Mage.
Exactly.
Say mages are
See-
scholars. They can't stink because they'll interrupt their thinking. Like,
But like you said, a lot of them are
yeah,
undead.
well, the undead ones. Once again, I think the best they do is neutral. The best they can do is neutral.
So I'm just trying to make an argument that they're not Lemony
Oh, yeah,
Fresh,
yeah, no.
basically.
They can't be limiting fresh because there's a lot of undead mages.
Unless they want to be like with a spell, and that's
Right.
temporary.
Not a permanent solution. Then again, a bath's never a permanent solution either.
How much of, like, we don't really know in World of Warcraft how much of their spells are supposed to take like reagents. Like, I would imagine
vast majority of them should, unless you're like a demon hunter or something where it's based off like you, like. Well,
but nowadays
almost
they don't
all of
like
the druids would be carrying multiple seeds, which that's why they couldn't do that because druids don't ever carry seeds.
And those things, shaman. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Shamans and like druids are going to do like more ritual based stuff. Most mages, like, I'm not going to say they don't have spells that require reagents because they would from time to time, obviously. But like most of their stuff is like conjured, like on the spot.
Yeah. And say like,
I feel like mages you'd put in the smell good to some.
I could go there and call it fair.
Speaking of not smell good to some, excuse me, in rituals, shaman. They have air magic.
That just carries the stain.
Or it blows it away and you don't smell it.
Yeah, I guess if you're up or downwind or upwind.
Also, like if there was going to be an Avatar: The Last Airbender, that'd be a shaman, basically. Yeah,
so
right?
Each one would be like, it'd be dumb that they're all.
Mistweaving could arguably be water bending.
That depends on what kind of water you're bending. Because if you're bending stagnant ass stanky water, guess what you smell like?
But their casting is definitely like the most similar to water bending.
They talked about the swamp people, and the swamp people smelled like the swamp. So,
but definitely like most of that like bending would be like shaman,
which you would smell like the elements, and the elements don't smell that good.
No, you smell like dirt. You smell like
just dankety dank rank wind. Like you smell like whatever the wind picked up, which is everything. So
it's called the earthen ring.
Yeah,
like
it's a brown circle.
Speaking of, like, you know, the primal weapon enchants. Does the primal earth not just look like shit? Like literally, like shit is like coming out of your weapon.
That's why I'm so glad that like the mythic armor enhancement is like the color yellow lightning. Not, I was like, oh, thank God it isn't shit lightning. Chocolate
doesn't look
red.
like poop. It's just dude. If I put that on my weapons, it looks. I'm like, I can't tell you that doesn't look like poop. It's just constantly flying off of it. Like, smells bad to most. Then for shaman. Okay.
But I don't think it's
the three that we have left. The three that we have left is what I would say is the contenders for Stank Nasty. So I don't know which one you want to go first.
Who we got left?
Probably. Okay, of the two.
Because Druid's one of them, but what's the other two?
Okay, let's go Warlock first. Because I feel like demons smell bad.
Demons do, but not the Warlock.
Most of the time. Like maybe the succubi and the incubi don't smell bad. But like most demons are going to smell pretty bad. Like fire and brimstones can be very sulfury. Like their rituals are going to smell bad. Like they are magical. So like they probably have a spell that makes them smell more alluring.
Dark mages, and I don't think the whole cleanliness thing changed. If anything, they probably clean more and like use it to talk down to the demons. So,
well, the reason I say Warlock is because I feel like between Demon Hunter and Warlock, I was like, Demon Hunters probably smell worse because they're covered in
they smell like
demon
they
blood.
are the demon, essentially. They smell
but
like
my
fire
point too
and
is they don't
brimstone.
give a shit about cleaning at all. Like, in fact, they probably like the blood being on their weapons still.
Yeah, no, dude, like I said, Demon Hunter would smell. Demon Hunter, and it would definitely be like, and it would be the unholy smell. Like, so
Warlock smells bad to some.
Warlock definitely smells bad to some because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the whole dark mage thing, like they still clean a lot. Like there's definitely gonna be those that clean less, but
so that's where I'm coming down to with those two being left, with Druid and Demon Hunter being left.
So
which one smells worse?
Something about you seem off. Ugh, the stench of a demon hunter.
Demon hunter.
I was going to say, dude, because demon hunters, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
By definition, they should not care about cleanliness.
Yeah, no.
Like, druids don't smell good.
because they smell like
but
animals.
They could stealth also, which means they could hide their scent if they needed to.
Yeah.
Restoration probably has some component of being able to, like, wash that away if it needed
honest,
to.
I think restoration, Matt, because the things that make nature gross smells nasty.
They're not using this.
No.
We know that. But, like, I'm telling you, I feel like demon hunters probably,
Look,
like,
you have all
revel in that fucking, like,
No.
yeah, smell that fucking
I don't
demon
think they
blood,
revel
that
in
fire and
smelling it.
brimstone. They might, though, dude. Like, the smell of death would be like, that's the smell of victory for demon hunters. Like,
right, but like the reason why they smell the worst is because they would have all the components that the other guys have for smelling. Like, for example, the only strong contender would be Unholy Death Knight, and it would be corpse rot in Unholy. But the demon hunter has like basically all that minus the corpse rot, but has the sulfur, the kind of reptilian smell, the
yeah, I was gonna say that too earlier when we were talking about Drakthir. I was like, they're the closest to lizards that aren't
putrid
Drakthir.
is another word that they both commonly get. Like, to a certain degree, like, Unholy is meant to smell worse than death. Like, death is bad.
And they would probably, that'd be a component of their,
Right.
like, intimidation. Like, demon hunters are not trying to hide themselves, like, unless they needed to for, like, a stealth mission. But my point is, it's like, they're probably more like, it's a flex for them. Like, and they probably flex the hardest, except for warriors. Like, warriors are like the pose with me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, but demon hunters are just like, they don't give a shit. Like, and not canonically, but like when I play my demon hunter, when I mogged him, like I said, like in my head canon, my demon hunter is like a completely feral. Like I've told you this before. Like demon hunter is like a feral fucking force of nature that is like forgotten more about society, and it's like humanity, if you would even call night elves like humanity. Like, you know what I mean? Is like, to me at least in my head, like, I feel like demon hunter is the stank nasty.
Would you describe a demon hunter that has lost sight of the bigger picture?
No. That's my point, is it's like he's so focused on killing demons that it's like he's almost forgotten how to speak.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm
he would
saying.
just be like,
you
it might,
sucked way too much into the combat part.
but that's my point, is it's like, and that's a good question too, I guess, for everybody out there. It's like, in your own head, like, it depends on how much, like, they're completely players that play the game,
hunter,
like, they don't give a shit about
the Batman
fantasy.
of World of Warcraft. Like, you are always prepared,
but my point,
and nothing stops you.
Well, like you said, rogues would be
Oh,
Batman.
no, that's because
like,
they're not
anything.
special in any way. But as a matter,
In our
World of
original
Warcraft
class
rogues
fantasy.
now have some kind of tie to Shadow. So there is a
But
magical
what I'm
element to
saying
them.
is,
It's not just commando.
my point is outside of rogue or demon hunter or whatever. It's like, a lot of people won't care about that at all. Like, but most people, I would say, when you play an RPG, you have some element of getting your head into the character, like immersing, which is why for me personally, like for you, even the Asmongold of all people, it's like, there's a lot of people that are like, I wouldn't play a female character because I immerse myself to some extent in the character that I play. And that's why I'm like, for me, Demon Hunter, it's like my Demon Hunter is not like your Demon Hunter, because my Demon Hunter is like, he talks in grunts and really doesn't speak anymore. I think canonically they all have to be able to speak
in
like
that
WoW
case,
characters.
what you should try to do is then take a more narrative role. Like, because I cannot get into certain class fantasies. I don't do well with Mage. And
well, no, but that's why our class fantasy video was good, is because it's like, hey, we're like, it depends on you. What class is that for you that you couldn't get into?
There's
Speaking
two.
of
There's
that,
two
'cause I
that
think
I have
that's
trouble
interesting.
getting into.
Hold on, before we go there, we're putting Demon Hunter and Stank Nasty and Druid will then go smell bad to most. Okay, so back to it. You said you can't get into.
I struggle with getting into Mage
because I also have
I struggle with getting into Mage. Mage is something I don't mesh with. Like the way.
I would agree with that for myself too, except that I feel like Mage is the closest thing to science, and I studied biology, so I'm like,
well, then you would be more on the Druid
biology
side.
would not be the arcane, right? But like, yeah, I think if I was going to say the classes I couldn't, Mage is up there for one I don't get into very often. What's the other one?
There's
for
two
you?
more. I struggle to get into Rogue. I struggle to do because it's just not my forte. I'm not the Heidi stabby stab. Like it's,
same. And like in Oblivion or any Morrowind games, like or Elder Scrolls games, I don't like the stealthy style of gameplay.
Usually you can get a magic spell. It's like I'm in full plate. Bam! You can't hear me.
I find it tedious. Dude, I don't even like sneak sections in game.
No,
because
dude,
I'm like,
because that's not the fun. Especially when you're VR. The fun is jumping down the hole and being like, all right, I'm here. Everybody recognizes you, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
In a horror game is the closest I can get to doing stealth. And even then, I'm like, I don't like feeling like in video games, I want to be the danger.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
like
when I was playing Dreadhalls,
like,
eventually it just becomes, how close can I get to the monster and what can I do around it? Like,
now, having said that, the Arkham Predator missions, like in the Arkham games, that is top tier stealth gameplay for me.
You're not hiding because you're scared. You are the fear. Like
Batman in the fucking.
It's like a rogue,
dude,
you just don't know they're there and they're gonna kill you. Like, however, if the rogue was like, toying with you, like if it was like Jason Voorhees or something, and it's just like you are the monster. Now that's a different forte altogether. That's a different play, and that's a lot more fun. So,
okay, so hold on. You said Mage. You said Rogue.
Druid.
What's the
I
third
struggle
one?
with Druid.
I can see that, I guess. Well, but you also said you like the dinosaurs.
That's where I think I'm going to actually have a good, that's why I want to get Zandalari unlocked. And I hate to have to play fucking Horde, but
I guess if I was going to give 3 classes that I have trouble getting into,
okay,
Paladin. I don't, because like I said, again, and I love the idea of a protector class. Like that's one that I always vibe with, but Paladins to me, more often than not, are so pious that I'm like, it gets in the way of that. So I feel like if I was going to be a Paladin, it would have to be one that is a skeptical Paladin. The Qui-Gon Jinn of Paladins is what I would have to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be he uses the light when he has to, but he's almost like a warrior more than he is I guess priest for the same reason. Which
is so weird,
but if
because
I was going to be
a priest.
Yeah, but it was Shadow Priest. It was what I liked. He's that fucking it's void. It's the whole insanity. You know what I mean? And then I guess Warlock. Warlock and Mage, sort of both. If I had to pick one between the two, I'd pick a Mage before I'd pick a Warlock. Warlock does not vibe with me at all. It's playing with magic that is bad. So that just logically for me, it's that's dumb.
That come with Warlock, and I'm gonna be honest, it's a few that no one should be proud of. So that's just the way I'll put Warlock.
Well, that's what I'm saying is chaos,
yeah, like I said, dude.
Oh, I think I see what you're saying. The more hedonistic style. Is that what you're saying? Is hedonistic, self-indulgence, the succubus, basically.
Kind of for some it's that, but for others it's if there is a God, why not me? You know what I'm saying?
I can see that. Dude, and then that, okay, so well, and we've done that before. I guess we did that sort of in our, and we need to do the class fantasy thing again because that is the justice for that. And so maybe that's where that should lead into, and maybe we just do that for next time. But like, I know you said Demon Hunter is your favorite. Like, is that the one that you vibe? Like, is that the one that you get into the most?
Dude,
like,
that
that's the
one
most
is
fun?
the like. Okay, so if it's a shoe, that one feels tailor made. Like,
dude, I'm gonna be honest for myself. Like, and I know this is true for you too, actually, though, because you have a very strong imagination. It's like, I would have a hard time picking one for me the most, because for me, it's like playing a different role. It's like, depending on how I want to imagine it, like Demon Hunter, I could tell you is like, that's one I could get into the most. Like Death Knight, I could get into.
well,
like,
okay, so
Monk, I like.
when it comes down to deciding something like that, you need to like what you need to know about yourself is like where.
Yeah, but you're making it about your personal traits at that point.
What connects you to your class fantasy is you. Like,
but that's what I'm saying is, for me, I'm like, well, there's certain aspects of me
but
that I would be
you
like,
gotta remember, not all those aspects of yourself are equal.
that's true, but like, if you have to decide for yourself, that's why I'm like, I would have a hard time.
I don't know whether one makes that decision or not. Like, that's a more deeper philosophical question. Because are you you because of the way you're built, or are you you because of the way you decide to be?
That's a good point. But that's a very Monk question to ask, and that's why I'm like, just doing that
I've
is
always
it's like,
pictured in my head canon for my Demon Hunter to have like, honestly, that's why I prefer the fist weapons over the Warglaives. I love Warglaives. They're one of my favorite all-time weapons in any game. Skyrim VR, I immediately got the Warglaives of Azeroth, you know, and like that was just like I had too much fun. Anyways, especially when you have the throw weapon. Oh, I will not be touched by the likes of you. Like,
it's not very practical,
dude. Like more slaughter per swing. It's like dual wielding Darth Maul's lightsaber, like, you know, and that is just.
It works with the lightsaber because it doesn't weigh anything. The problem is glaives are way too heavy to do what you do.
My personal Demon Hunter, the way he fights would be more like a Z Warrior. Like that, like he would be more in the Monk. Like I am what I am, but it's about technique and being finesse and perfect. That's why you see sometimes that I'm not running the horns or something, because it's a lot of.
You change the horns out sometimes?
Very, like, it depends on, like...
I thought I noticed that. I never changed the horns.
Like, no, I stay between, like, I don't change, like, there's only one set of horns I use. Like...
So you're saying sometimes you don't use the horns.
I switch the, like, I have no horns. I have no horns on. The reason...
Dude, my Demon Hunter has the scales. He's got the fucking, like...
You see,
that's... The cracks.
Like, in my Demon Hunter's headcanon, it's, like, to have mastery over it means to have, like, you know, it's out when I want it out. Oh,
my Demon Hunter he's lost that.
That's what I'm saying.
I said, it's
lost
like,
sight of the bigger picture.
He would be like, no, not lost sight of the mission. Like,
I didn't say the mission.
I
said the bigger picture. He's good at killing demons. Yes.
No, he's lost sight of himself.
He's
like,
great for the front lines.
Dude, he'd basically be something that you'd like. Yeah, you'd keep in the the way they did.
So if your Demon Hunter was like in a unit in Total War,
you unleash him.
He would have
you
one
drop
of the,
a cage, it opens up, and then he goes.
Yeah.
So like, and then you put him back in the cage.
Yeah, like he would be immune to psychology, and he would have the frenzy debuff where sometimes he just goes insane and he'll even kill your own units. Like,
yeah. Definitely a possibility for Demon Hunter.
Yeah, like, dude, trust me. When you say, I know exactly what kind of... And what's strange is because he's a vengeance Demon Hunter. So, like, you know, because usually...
That's just because I like to tank. Right. But... Because I do think that and I do think the Vengeance Demon is cool. Like, I definitely would... Who wouldn't pick the one with the wings and the... You know what I mean? Like, but... I do like the jumping around. But what you said a second ago... like raises a good point to what I was talking about before, when I'm like, it's hard for me to pick a class. When you were talking about like, like I would play my Demon Hunter more of like a Kung Fu style, like fighting style, almost like, you didn't say Kung Fu directly, but I mean, I'm like, it made me think of Vol'jin in the book Vol'jin, and how he's a shadow hunter, but like he learns monk fighting basically in that book. Right. Like, so it's like, spoiler alert, like, and I thought about it and I'm like, the truth is, if you were like, well, which class would you pick for yourself? It's like, it would be a multi-class, like if that was a possibility. You know what I mean? And I know that's not in World of Warcraft.
So like if that's the case, then I want you to say,
man, multi-classing is just a fun question
if that's
in
the
general.
Question,
like,
then here's the deal. I'm gonna give you 3. You have to have a trinity. That is the most you can have.
We could do a whole video on that.
We can come back to this, but because I know my 3, I was like, because when I base the character, like, there's definitely 3 classes.
Can I guess your 3?
You know one of them. Go for the other 2.
It's Demon Hunter.
Obviously,
like, obviously.
Okay.
Okay. Paladin is the other one.
Paladin is definitely part of it.
I knew that. Like, so the question is, what is the third one? It's not Mage. Correct. Okay, I was going to say because
rogue. I'll give you that. It's not Major Rogue.
Well, that's based on something else that I know about a thing that you're working on that like, I was like, that's the only reason I even like, I wanted to rule it out. Like, I want to say immediately that the third one is probably Death Knight, but I don't think that that's based on what I know about you. Like, I know that the third one is one that I'm probably going to have a hard time guessing.
So then here's the question. Do you go with your...
Is it Monk?
So is that your final answer, Monk?
No, because like...
I need a final answer on this. Like, do you go with your gut or do you go with what you think your intuition's telling you? I
would have said Death Knight over Monk prior to you saying the thing about the Dragon Ball Z style fighting. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to go with that because if you had asked me before we talked about that, like honestly, if I was uncorrupted by that thought, I would say it's Demon Hunter, it's Paladin, and you would have been correct. So what would you guess is my 3?
Okay, so it's one, like the closest you've ever had to Shadow Hunter has been Shadow Priest. So I feel like that is definitely one of them because Shadow Priest? Not Priest, Shadow Priest. You did Holy and Disc like when you had to, but it just wasn't like, it's not what you wanted to do. You picked Priest for the whole reason of Shadow. Like, so you literally picked that class for that specific talent. So like, I consider almost Shadow Priest its own class for that reason. But no, definitely Death Knight is one for you. I know Death Knight has to be one. Monk is one I think that you kind of like me. It's definitely a runner-up, but I don't think it's one of the selections. But I definitely think it was one of the runner-ups for sure. I want to say, bro, I really want to go with I really feel like you really enjoy the what's it called, the warrior role. So I'm gonna go with Death Knight, warrior. And
you said Priest.
Yeah, Shadow Death Priest. Knight, Shadow Priest, and Warrior.
I'm going to be honest. Like I said, it was hard for me to say like what I would pick. And I'm like, you made a really strong case for all of those because it's like, I really do like that. Like if I had to pick, like I love my favorite class fantasy in D&D was always Ranger. Like, so I would have said Hunter, like, and Shadow Hunter was my favorite in World of Warcraft, in Warcraft 3.
So like,
no, and that's what I'm saying. Is like if you combine the Shadow Priest and the Hunter,
the Shadow Priest is no more than a placeholder for Shadow Hunter because that's what it would be.
And so really,
it would be Shadow Hunter. I know that. Well,
like honestly, dude, the third one could be like, I really, really do love I love everything about monks. Like I love the philosophy of it. I love the discipline of it. I love the hand-to-hand combat and but I also really I think Shaman is cool. Like I think fucking Death Knight is cool. It'd be easier for me to pick the ones that it wouldn't be. Like that is really hard. Like I would have to think about it, like to say for certain. If you were going to tell me I had to pick, like, the truth is, like, there's a lot of combinations that you could say and I would be happy with. Like you said, Death Knight, Shadow Priest, and Warrior. Like, I would be completely happy with that. Like, I could play that, and that would be cool. Like, it'd be harder for me. like I said, to narrow it down. It'd be easier for me to pick the ones that it wasn't. Like, I know it's not Warlock. I know it's not Drakthir. I know it's not Paladin. Like, it's... And everything else is like kind of up. It probably wouldn't be Mage, like, but like I said, to me, that's the sciencey like class. Although you could say Druids are kind of like, it could be like that too. If you're like, what's a biologist in World of Warcraft? It could be a Druid and it could equally be a Mage. Like Hunter, I feel a very strong connection, like I said, to the whole like Ranger thing.
Right, but I just
like
don't
the
see
animal
playing
bond,
the class though.
like. Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, I love, like, I feel a bond with animal, with my, like, I'm telling you, like, when I think about my dog, dude,
okay,
like, I'm like, no, dude, like, it's really hard. Like, I feel like, I hate that because normally when you and me talk about stuff like this, I ask him questions all the time when the podcast I originally wanted to be like, my brother and I have had some of the most ridiculous, but some of the most interesting to me, obviously, conversations that are pointless a lot of the time. And I'm like, man, I wish we could put that out there where people could hear it. And that's like, that is the essence of what is King of the World chat, which is not to do with the name. That's another thing entirely. We'll talk about that sometime in the future. But like, this is one of those things where on so many of those conversations, I will ask him, I will be like, Garrett, tell me what this is. And he will go, I can't do that. And I'm like, it drives me crazy. Like to the point where I'm like, just pick one. And he'll be like, I can't. And I'm like, and this time, I'm telling you, I'm not telling you I can't pick one, but I'm telling you I would need more time to give you the actual
I would say,
three.
like, it's something we can definitely come back to again in another video.
I think a multi-class question is I think that's a fantastic question to ask about World of Warcraft in general. I think it'd be fun to talk about like the charisma question. It's like, okay, well, we know we have strength, agility, intellect, what do they call it? It's not constitution, it's stamina.
Are we talking about like
what am I leaving out? And wisdom was the other one in WoW originally. I was like, I think it's fun to ask those questions. I'm like, multi-classing would be a fun question. I think, like I said, charisma, that's never been a stat in World of Warcraft, but I think that would be a fun thing to discuss with respect to the other classes. And I think this question of like your personal choice of what a class is to you, I think that's the essence of class fantasy. It's like, it has nothing to do with stats. It has nothing to do with the role in the game. It's like, what do you see yourself as when you imagine if you were an adventurer? How does your character solve the problem of go get ye flask and bring it back to the tavern and get your reward? It's like, well, how you would choose to do that in a fantasy world, that is the essence of class fantasy. And I think that is something that you and I could have like a really fun discussion on. I think we should probably do that. If not next time, like very soon, because people are some of our most response that we've ever gotten from you, the listener, was, hey, I really enjoyed this. This was fun, but it didn't turn into this. That being our last class fantasy video, which is also our most successful. No, and that's what I'm saying is it's like, it's been coming. We need to do it. Just to give you the rundown one more time in case it's not on the screen visually for you, because that's a pain to have to do sometimes. I could take a screenshot, so that's easy. Stank Nasty, the number one. What is your smelliest class in World of Warcraft? For Sargarrett and Hypemore?
Demon Hunter.
It's the Demon Hunter. The runner-up is the Druid. And then the closest would either be Warlock or
Unholy
Death
Death
Knight.
Knight is definitely up there for top contender. He's
Smells bad to most. Warrior, Monk, Shaman. Smells bad to some. Drakthir, which arguably you wanted to put higher up than that on the smell list because, so I will mention that. Hunter smells bad to some. Warlock smells bad to some. Smells good to some, question mark. Priest and Mage, and Lemony Fresh, Paladin. And then, of course, not shown on the tier list appropriately, Rogue, because the Rogue doesn't want you to see it. if it doesn't want you to see it. And if they did, then they would probably smell good. I think that's pretty solid.
Feels like a solid list.
I just had a thought.
That could be dangerous.
Well, it's like, okay, so the issue of how does there's the age-old question: does a bear shit in the woods?
Does a druid shit in the woods?
Like, no, well, a druid absolutely shits in the woods, even not in bear form. Like, I feel like that's a cathartic, like that's like communing with the fucking like scenarios to them. Like, but my question is this: you're out there, you've been on a quest for a month, you're in a party of 5, maybe. Every class is gonna have to shit in the woods sometimes, right? Like, how does each class address that? Like, mages would teleport their shit away, probably to an unknown dimension that is actually like the same gnome that doesn't know why he keeps getting like a teleport and then just like plop on his head. Like, why does this keep happening to me? Like, I could see that being the mage and the Drakthir solution. Like we said earlier, hunters, they bury their shit like a cat. Like,
yep. So we've answered the question that World of Warcraft didn't know it was asking.
And that's what we're happy to do for you here.
You can thank us for it. We took a whiff so you didn't have to.
Our Paladin's not the class that is like upset when anybody comes around the corner and it's like, don't look at me. I'm trying to.
Right.
They have stage fright. They can't go.
Dude, we're going to see how freaking like Tyrallian's going to be like, everything's disgusting. And he's, oh, dude, here he comes. He's bad guy. Or it's going to be like, finally, the Alliance is the bad guy. And we're going to be like, not us. That dickbag does not represent.
I'm telling you, I think it'll be Urel, though. I think it'll be Urel. I think he'll fall in line with her.
Isn't she out, like, committing atrocities?
Yeah, I think that we'll see forced enslavement of the orcs as payback for the Draenei genocide from Urel, basically.
Christ.
There's going to be light forged orcs that did not ask for it, basically. Or it'll be like an Inquisition. They'll have to have had choose
like,
death
way
or
to
cake.
go, Urel. You actually made me feel bad for an orc. It's pretty tough to do. Seriously, dude. Fuck orcs.
Ha ha! Shield.